seems like with every year, Clash Royale keeps getting bigger and bigger, while the features added get worse and worse. It has gotten so insane that today, the features get all these massive announcements just to be so incredibly bad that they make people quit. But how exactly did this change even start to happen? How did this thing continue for so long? And how Clash Royale can fix the most awful features in the game? Because at the end of this video, I will give out my solution for the single worst feature that exists. And trust me, it's gonna completely change the way that you think of it. Let's start with the more recent and interesting feature, something that I actually haven't seen anyone talk about. A really unique feature, that being tower troops. Tower troops were added at the start of 2024, and right then and there was a massive problem. First of all, when tower troops were added at the beginning, it was only just one, being the cannoneer. Now, at the start, the cannoneer was pretty mid, but that wasn't really the issue about it. When the cannoneer was first added to the game, on day 1, you could physically not unlock it to a competitive level. A few months later though, the second tower troop would be added, being the Dagger Duchess. And this time, if you didn't have the tower troop unlocked at a high level, you literally could not compete. So because tower troops have always been kept to the pay-to-win players, this is a part most problematic. The problem about the tower troop update is that for the longest time, it has been an extremely limited feature to almost everyone. Now, we will talk about how to fix it pretty soon, because there's another feature like it, but just think about this. It's a feature that exists in the game that is actually really annoying to get, and in some situations you lose if you don't have them. But the other mistake that tower troops got is one that not many people talk about. This issue that ruined this feature, unlike normal cards that roll in and out, tower troops need to be 100% equal to each other. You need to make sure you're fully balancing them more than any other card, because if you don't, it makes the game so much worse. But the thing about tower troops is that they do make the game worse at their current state, but not everybody thinks that. Only the ones who really take a deep dive into the game realize how bad this thing is, but most people just don't understand. Everybody was mostly excited for tower troops to be added, but the next feature that we're gonna talk about was received so bad that some people don't even know about it. In fact, even I a few months ago didn't even remember that this feature existed, and I bet you probably too. This feature that I'm talking about is the trader, and this story actually goes way back to the 31st of August of 2020. Now, when the trader got added, he wasn't actually the main focus. It was just not a good time for him. There was something else in the way, because on the 31st of August, when the trader got added, the update that came with it was a lot more distracting, and we will talk about it soon. And this update was Clan Wars 2. Now, Clan Wars 2, despite what you always hear, was a pretty decent sized update. It got rid of quests, it added new boat battles, and it added the whole new Clan Wars system. Now, we will come back to this later, but apart from this update being the worst update that the game has ever had, and all of the features that I mentioned being horrible, there was one feature that for some people was more interesting, which was the trader. And to put it simply, the trader was just a worse way of trading. You could already trade with your clanmates, but the trader was just a more limited way to do it. You had to wait for very specific trading options in order for it to be useful, both for giving and receiving, and you couldn't even reroll. On top of that, you had to be in a clan anyways to use it, so there was literally almost no point of using this guy. And almost 4 years later, and this feature had stayed completely forgotten. And without GLIX mentioning it in one of his videos, I would have never even thought about the trader. So thank you to GLIX for doing this, and if you're not subscribed to him, like come on, you gotta go to him and just subscribe. But after you've done that, there is still another issue with the trader. After 4 years of being in the game, people still don't like him. He's still a useless feature that just gets nothing. Despite this though, it's not a controversial feature. I mean, you can't really have something that people hate be in the game unresolved for so long, right? It's not possible for this to even exist. Well, since card evolutions were added to the game, they have been one of the most hated things ever added. And the reason for it is quite interesting, because even when evolutions were added, it was at the worst possible timing to do it. Evolutions were added to the game on June 19th, 2023. At this time, the game wasn't doing too great. The last update was horrible, and level 15's full prices were just announced. Now, that doesn't affect evolutions directly, but it did do something for the vibes of the update. this update just felt different. It wasn't like any other update that came. This time, before everything even happened, the expectations of this update were so low that absolutely nobody was looking forward to it. But when the evolutions came out to the game, it was way worse than what people thought. The balancing of these evolutions was so messed up that they even had HP and damage boosts on top of the new broken ability. Thankfully, it's not like this today, but it was a really massive issue back then. The main issue with evolutions today is how hard they are to get. As a free-to-play player, you can only get one per 6 months. Yes, it is this bad. And after the issue with the stat boosts got fixed, the only solution that I have is to give more evolution shards. Because without the stat boosts and recent evolutions having counterplay, it's pretty easy to see why we just need evolutions to be easier to get. Evolutions could have been such a good feature, but at last, this is ultimately what we have. But what about a worse feature? Something so bad that even outside of this community, people still joke about. Hated by 100% of the players, a feature that is by far the worst feature in Clash Royale. This feature that goes back over 4 years ago and is called Clan Wars 2. And despite this being the single worst feature in the game, it was also added in a very stupid way. Let's go back a bit, to the start of 2020 when the next update was teased. Now, it seemed like a pretty normal and cool update, just showing off this image and saying nothing about it. But as the time went on and the update was getting closer, nothing was actually said about it. It just seemed like the dev team kind of forgot, and it took over 3 months since the image was teased until something new would come. On July of 2020, finally, the update info did arrive. The update was about changing Clan Wars, which did seem like a good idea at the time, but practically, it didn't go so well. And it turned out as the worst feature that the game has ever gotten. And this is what made the update so stupid. First of all, the new boat battles were just trash. They barely made you any progress and it was so hard to destroy another ship. Secondly, the main aspect of Clan Wars 2 was now changed, because instead of the game mode being just skillful and hard like any other mode, this time the main challenge in Clan Wars was actually something else. You now had to have a full 50-member clan in order to play well. Imagine having to fill out a full clan just to play this new Clan Wars thing, and on top of all of that stuff, this feature completely replaced the Clan Wars 1, which compared to that was a much better feature. So after talking about how horrible this feature was, and how bad Clan Wars 2 was and still is received to this day, let's talk slightly more positively, and how to fix this feature. The issues of Clan Wars are actually pretty simple. It's very grindy, and you need a full clan. So instead of having that, you can use something close to what Brawl Stars has for their clan system. In Brawl Stars, the Mega Pig event is very easy to do. Doesn't always take every single person, and is just more fun. And Clash Royale can just do the same. Instead of having to play every week multiple times, you can make it a monthly event. You can reduce the competitiveness and make it very easy, and if Clash Royale actually does this without messing up and fixes all of the bad features of this game, then it will hopefully be a lot more appealing to play, and I will have more subscribers. But you can always help with that one by just subscribing, you know.